Hello, and welcome to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and I am so excited to be on the air with you all today. Just a friendly reminder as we are in summertime and just in a time where everybody's traveling, doing big trips, or getting into new things. Please make sure you're practicing safety on all fronts. Physically, make sure you are using the buddy system anywhere you go, and just make sure that the ones closest to you know where you are and what you're doing so that you can ensure your safety. Also, health wise, COVID is still a thing. So is the flu, so is coughs, so is any type of sickness going around. And I do want everyone to remain safe. So if you need to continue practicing social distancing, maybe go back to wearing masks or just continue those regulations to make sure that you keep yourself healthy and those around you healthy, please do so, because I do want everyone to be feeling great and empowered to conquer the next day. Also, before we go any further, I encourage you to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app so that you can listen to the show on the go on your electronic devices. Also, tag someone that you know, especially tag a college student, tag someone that is in tune with what's going on in the world, and have them listen in, because today's upcoming discussion is going to be talking about an upcoming event that we have going on in the community, and just touching one of the hot topics in our nation, community, country, things that are going on. Because as you know, we celebrate Black History Month in 1 month of February, but I think, of course, that we should continue celebrating. And one of the big holidays coming up is Juneteenth, that we are recognizing. As we know, some people got free with the Emancipation Proclamation, but it was June 19th when those in Texas were able to have the opportunity to freely join society. Those African Americans who had been enslaved now had the opportunity to start new lives, become whatever they wanted to be, and really live the quote unquote American dream. And now we see, even in the current status of our world, how in certain aspects, some things are lacking, or we have people in power who are using their authority to do some things that don't benefit everyone who is a part of the country, everyone who is a part of the human race. And I really want to talk a little bit more about that today. We're talking about celebrating Juneteenth, and the upcoming event is with an organization that is not foreign to this radio show. They've been on in the beginning of the year. Their name is Inclusive, and I have two of the members, Mr. Dale Pace Jr. and Quinn Bryant, on with me to discuss Juneteenth, celebrating diversity, equality, and inclusion. And I am so excited to have them on to discuss this topic. Thank you so much for coming on, guys.
Hey.
Hello. Well, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself again to the audience for those who may not know you, just so that they can become familiar with you.
Hi, I'm Quinn Bryant.
I'm Dale Pace, also known as DJ. I go to TCC
Thank you
as
both
well.
so much. Yes, TCC students. We have educated African American young men here on with me who are getting their college education and doing all that they can to make the community a better place. And I had you all on with a few other members in the beginning of the year. I'm sure everyone has been trying to know what's going on with Inclusive, but I am so excited for your upcoming event with Juneteenth, celebrating diversity, equality, and inclusion, which is happening on Monday from 3 to 6 at Walker Ford Community Center. Tell the audience a little bit more about what is going to be happening at this event, and also share what you hope to see come out of this event.
So, a little description of what's going to go on at this event is we will be hosting a kickball tournament or maybe a couple of games. We will also be having some free food. We will have raffles from some of our sponsors. And I think that we will also be having a couple of basketball games on the side and just a couple of other fun things like music, entertainment. So,
Yeah. And also, like, what we hope to see from this event, I mean, we just love seeing community come together, no matter the race, age, gender, whatever it is. We just love seeing everybody come together as one and just love on each other and just celebrate anything, whether it's for our African American culture or somebody else's culture. But we love the inclusivity of everybody just coming together and just enjoying and having a good time.
I love that as well. I think we need more people doing that anyway, because there's so much division, so much just brokenness in our communities, let alone our nation. And I think that is very great to not only celebrate, as you said, the small things that happen, but also the big things. I mean, Juneteenth, if you think about it, it wasn't really something that was celebrated until a few years ago. A lot of people just saw it as day after Father's Day. It was a normal Monday or a normal time. But now we're here able to celebrate the fact that we had African Americans, different minorities free that day. We get to celebrate the love that comes from diversity, the love that comes from equality, and just the genuineness of including everyone in different things. I also encourage you all to come out to this event because yours truly will be speaking. And I'm just so thankful and grateful to Inclusive for giving me the opportunity to not only speak, but also attend the event and just be a part. I do feel if you're not doing anything on Monday, you're looking for something to do. I know there's going to be events all over Tallahassee for Juneteenth, but really, really, if you are a college student, if you are a young person, if you're an old person, if you have cousins, brothers, aunties, nieces, bring everybody out to the Walker Ford Community Center from 3 to 6 because this event I truly believe is going to be amazing. And I'm just looking forward to myself seeing all that will come out, all the fun and how much it will or could end up sparking more people to really start more conversations and to start coming together to mend what's going on. Now, I say celebrating diversity and inclusion, but let's talk a little bit about diversity itself. What does that look like to you, or what does that mean to you in our world right now?
Well,
This
um, to kind of, because we are a Christian-based organization, when we think about diversity, we think about sort of what Jesus' whole mission was when he entered this earth. He didn't just come for just the blacks or the whites or the Hispanics, but he came for everybody so that he could save each and every one of us, that he could save our souls so that we could live with him again and when in the end times. So when we think about diversity, we're thinking about in a certain aspect of one big happy family that just comes collectively together. Doesn't matter, like I said, the race or the age or the gender, but it's just one big happy family loving on each other, doing communion together. So, yeah.
mm, there you go.
And I mean, that thank you for that answer. Really, really for real. Because I mean, with diversity, I am a Christian myself as well, you know? And I see that God has done so much, even just from the beginning of making sure that everyone felt included, everyone felt a part of the conversation, you know? And the fact that we are here, we're in a world where a lot of people don't want to include anybody. They don't want people to be able to live in their diversity, live in their difference, live in what they are. And I think it's so important, as the theme of the celebration and the event is, to celebrate it, to recognize how important it is. Now, thank you so much, DJ, for sharing about diversity. But Quinn, can you tell me what is inclusion? What do you feel when you hear the word inclusion, and what does inclusion look like to you?
Inclusion looks like to me it's just bringing everybody, no matter what differences they have, together to enjoy the one end goal we have is just enjoy the salvation that comes with Jesus, and just celebrating being a Christian, uh, coming together as one big happy family, which would be a church, and just enjoy a history and the praise that comes with being together as a community.
I love that. I mean, inclusion and diversity, they kind of go hand in hand if you think about it. I mean, they're different in a sense, but they do go hand in hand. I mean, to have a diverse and a very prosperous type of field, you have to be able to be willing to include other people for the purpose of inclusion, you know? And then even when it comes to equality being something, we have a lot of people who want to be this and they want to branch out on their own. But a lot of people, I think, tend to forget that we're all humans. I mean, everybody's so focused on the fact that you have your colors, you have your genders, you have your different sexualities, you have the different aspects of us that make us different. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We all go through things. And it's times when we go through things where it's most important and it's most imperative that we celebrate that we recognize how much our differences bring us closer together, how much, even though we may seem different, we all have things about us that are similar. And we now are facing with our governor, we've seen here in Florida, for those listening, that during the last legislative session, our governor signed a recent bill in to cut funding for diversity and inclusion programs in higher education. It's known as HB 999 or SB 66, but there's so much that goes into this bill that a lot of people are not aware of, are not seeing. And I'm curious to know, what was both of you all's responses? We can start with DJ again to just this bill and the amount of change it will end up making on college campuses.
I oh my goodness, I could go on and on about this, but it was really disheartening to hear that that was actually happening. I always believed that if you cut off the knowledge of the past, you'll never understand the sacrifices that it took to get you to the place that you were at right now. We're talking about segregation, the Jim Crow laws. We're talking all these different historical events that happened. You cut that away, a young male, black, whatever, a young male, they're gonna look and they're gonna look back and they're gonna be like, well, then how did I get to where I was at right now? How come I have to be looked at in a certain stigma or in a certain way or a certain stance? How did my forefathers get to where they sacrificed everything so that I could be put in this position? You take that away, they're pretty much taking away hope. You're pretty much taking away basic knowledge. You're taking away encouragement. You're stripping it all away from these children by trying to cut something off because you feel as if that you're afraid that we might be empowered by it and that we might have a strong mindset on it. That's not how we love on each other. That's not what love is. Love is, hey, listen, learn what your forefathers did for you, but do better than what they already did before you. It's biblical. So, hey, let's keep our history, not dwell in the hurt, but dwell in the healing of it and move forward from it. So that's where my mindset is on it.
You made some great points, really, really great points, DJ. And I mean, even when it comes to what you said about the fact that we need to learn from the past and make better decisions for our future, I agree. And I mean, in the standpoint, I've talked about this before when the whole thing happened with the banning of the African American Studies class. At this point, we are in a state where we have to, and it is so important that we make sure that we're constantly learning about our history. The more and more people in power or different things may happen where it may be trying to be taken back from us, or people don't want us to hear where we come from or the negative sides of what brought us to where we are. it is important. We don't want to have a lost generation where they just don't understand. They don't have the tools, they don't have the necessary life skills to see, okay, in the past, this happened. This was history. How do I stop repeating it? Because unfortunately, it looks like people are trying to repeat history right now, trying to revert back. And it is so important that those listening, whether you're a college student, whether you are an adult, that you are fully aware of what's going on in the world, in politics. Because I mean, I've always been that person. I don't like politics. I have not been huge on it, but it's so important that you see the bills that are going on. You see the actions that are being taken, because just like we have rights and have been given, and they can be taken away in an instant if we don't use our voices, use our bondment of love and celebration to come together and really bond, to really make sure our voices are heard and that our point comes across. Now, what about you, Quinn? What was your reaction to everything happening?
My reaction was like, at first thought, it's like inhumane to take away the wisdom of the past. You know, I feel like as a Christian, that's already one of the most important things that you need in life, wisdom. And just the fact that we're taking away and altering and manipulating something that's so important to our salvation, I I just don't see why this is being allowed and why people think it's okay to change what we're being learned, what we're being taught. And yeah, that's how I felt about that. And it's just like that just doesn't show the love of Christ, and it just shows where we're going as a nation. It shows that we need to educate ourselves and actually use our voices to speak up, get in positions of power, and make politics important to an extent, but we need to get in these polls and vote, and we need to do what we need to do so we can have people that speak on our behalf have the education that we need to speak up for the community. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I felt about it.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned voting. That was my next part. This is so important, and I understand the big elections for presidency and whatnot happened in 2024, but we have things going on locally that people could be voting for, could be helping get into certain things. And my mom, she actually told me that she had to go and talk at the Capitol before, and just some of the bills that she would hear. There's so many things that they could sweep under, or different things that no one hears about because we're not a people that want to be focused on it. We don't want to look into what's going on. But a lot of times, systematically, we have to look at what is being put in there. We need more people of color, more educated people of wisdom. I personally believe more people of faith who really believe in what's going on, because, like you all said, God created this nation. God created us so that we could be a blessing to others. And the fact that we have a lot of people who have had culture bred to them, that you shouldn't like someone because of this aspect of yourself, or you shouldn't be included or diverse. You shouldn't put those things in places that they need to be held. It is very baffling. I mean, you hear about this thing. You're cutting out funding for diversity and inclusion and programs in higher education. Think about HBCUs. I mean, there's so much in different schools that have been put in place so that diversity is important. It is important that we don't just see everyone who looks like us around us. It's important that we get that motion, that knowledge of different things, that we can say, okay, maybe this person here doesn't look the same as mine. Let me learn something about that. Or it goes deeper, as maybe this person doesn't believe the same things that I don't believe. I may not believe what they say, but I can respect and understand where they're coming from. And I think it is so important. We need it as college students. I'm getting ready to really get into college. And it's so sad to me that I might have to tell future generations, or my future nieces and nephews, my god siblings, anything like that, that the stuff you're learning now may not be there. And I think that even with this event, that you all are having. I keep saying I really am happy that it is something, because we do need to celebrate diversity. We do need to celebrate equality, and we do need to celebrate inclusion. I mean, there's so much negative going on, but there also is a lot of good that has come from different things being built. And it's so important that we have that. So I say that this stuff is going on. You all are college students. You understand that a lot of these things can affect you now. It can affect those in your future kids, your future whatever. Why do you feel like it's so important to have diversity and inclusion? And what advice maybe would you give to others who are feeling upset about the situation, feeling as if they want to give up, they don't want to use their voices, and are discouraged? What would you tell them to really encourage them to keep going, to keep using their voices, and for us all as humans to stand together and fight for what we believe in?
So why is it important for diversity? I'd say like we as a people are already humans. We are interdependent. We're not independent. We depend on each other for different things that we can't achieve ourselves, and we depend on each other to survive in the first place. We depend on each other in a certain extent for our salvation, because how you treat each other is, it shows the love of God. It shows how you're going to teach your children. It shows it's a big part of, being a human in general. I feel like when we don't show that to certain people just because of, their color, their sexuality, their gender, it's inhumane, and it just goes against, showing the love of God and showing who, we're supposed to be as Christians. And I feel like that's why it's important to diversity. And maybe some advice that I would give people that are struggling and upset with this, I would say continue to get in these polls, vote, do your research about who's going into these positions of power. And also, if you're really invested, like, do what you need to do so we can have better representation in office and power. We need that so desperately, because the times we're going to, we need strong leaders, strong Christian leaders, strong people that have good moral sense. So I feel like, yeah, that's really why the advice I would give people about that.
Yeah, and I feel like, well, I always believe in the verse, iron sharpens iron. When it comes down to diversity, there's a need for it in the nation. We always talk about racism, right? We always talk about this stigma of racism, whether it's black and white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. We always talk about racism, but we usually don't understand that by us, of our generational hurt that we've had, we end up putting ourselves in this container, right? And excluding ourselves from the world. And instead of inviting the people that have maybe oppressed us, what we do is we push them farther back, and we keep on pushing them and keep on pushing them to the point to where we actually feel the generational hurt that our ancestors felt. And so when it comes down to racism, we always talk about how can we make sure that these people understand us. Invite them to your home. Let them have dinner with you. I mean, think of, like, I always think about, like, Jesus and what his mission was. He walked into places where they didn't even like Jews, and he still spoke the word of God, and they still surrendered. But he didn't come in saying, hey, you hurt me. He said, hey, I love you. That's what diversity is. That's literally, that diversity is love. Diversity is, okay, I'm gonna look past the hurt. I just want to be able to love on you the way that you are. I want you to understand me so that I can understand you. So my encouragement for what's going on right now, stay prayed up. Keep praying to God, asking God, hey God, heal our land, heal our nation. We need you right now. And I want to even encourage for the college students that are in the political realm or doing, social science or whatever. I want to encourage you guys, keep striving for greatness. Don't let anybody tear you down. Don't let anybody say that you can't do it, because you can make a change. And it's even better that you can make a change because we need it right now. We need you guys. So keep doing what you're doing and keep God first.
Talk about words, wisdom. Woo! Yes. We need to really, really, really focus on honing in our united front. I mean, we are titled the United States of America, right? They talk about America being a melting pot. They've changed the term so many times, but as DJ and Quinn, as you both mentioned, it is so important that we continue to embrace all that comes from us, embrace everything that we've gone through, the happy times, the sad times, the confusing times, and the triumphant times, and really show how we can help each other. There's sometimes I may be weak in one spot and somebody may be strong in another. Or I may not understand something and somebody understands something else. And by breeding that culture where we bring people together, where we close that generational hurt gap and we close that feeling of hatred towards each other and just look at each other as, hey, we're just people living. We all go through our struggles. I try to look at that myself. I mean, if I were to give advice on top of what they said, remember that we all are human. I mean, we all go through life situations. A lot of times we spend so much time on social media, on just in regular conversation, trying to point out the wrong things that we do instead of saying, hey, I felt what you're going through before, or I understand where you are. This is what I did. I don't know if I can help, but I'm here. Simple responses like that, I feel like would change so much, so much, because we're so used to sticking to ourselves, as DJ said, or making ourselves stand out, going with what we feel is comfortable, and we're not ready or we're fearful of going into the unknown. But I'm here to tell y'all, I mean, we are in that time. You got to face those people that you don't usually talk to. You got to be willing to stand up and use your voice in ways that you never thought you would have to. Because if you don't, it could be gone. Just like they used to silence others in the past, it is not something that is stopped. It could continue happening. Voting is important. I myself will be getting registered soon, and I am encouraging everyone, if you are not registered, please do it. I don't want to hear other people, because this is the thing. We get to voting and so many people want to complain that this candidate won and that this happened, but you didn't vote. You didn't even exercise the right that people fought for. So if instead of complaining, not even just from the sense of not wanting to hear complaining, but your life is at stake in these elections. Your rights, your everyday living is at stake. And if you have not seen it, wake up. See what's happening. Simple laws being passed or things you see on social media. This is not fake news. This is what's going on in the present. And we don't say this to scare, because at the end of the day, we are Christians. We know that God is going to protect us. But it is a wake-up call to let you know that, hey, we got to continue celebrating that diversity, that equality, and that inclusion, and fighting for it. Because if we don't, it will not be good. We are all working together to build a great world, but we all have to also make sure we are aware. We can't complain about things going on if we don't take the time to sit down and get knowledge about it. If we don't take the time to learn about what's going on in our country, we will not be able to move forward. So again, last thing to wrap it up is just really look within you. If you look in your classrooms, if you look on social media, if you look everywhere, there's always going to be someone who is not like you. We are all unique for a reason. We are all our own people. I challenge you, when on this Juneteenth, if you've never celebrated it before, celebrate. Embrace and be happy about the fact that you are different, that you come from different people, that your heritage is different, and celebrate other people. We're celebrating freedom, but we're also recognizing that we have to continue fighting for it. So make sure that you do celebrate. Again, please come out to this event that is happening at the Walker Ford Community Center from 3 to 6. Thank you so much, inclusive members, for being on the show today and sharing more about the event. How can they reach you right quickly before we wrap up?
We have Instagram. Our Instagram is official.inclusive. That's again official.inclusive on Instagram. And we also have a Gmail, which is inclusive mvog@gmail.com. And I think that's the only two.
Yeah, that's the only two right now. We're gonna get some TikToks going and everything like that, but that's only what we have for right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And I think this conversation was very, very important and productive. I loved it. And y'all check out Inclusive. They're doing some great things. These are just a group of kids who love God and really want to make the world a better place. So please get into what they're doing. Follow them on Instagram, where all of the things that they do between their seminars, their hangout sessions, or just the events that they plan, it's all on there. Please check it out. Before I get on, I do want to make sure that you remember that the second annual Kaylin's Caring Connection, We Got Your Back Service Day is happening, but we have had a date change. So please mark your calendars now for August 12th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will be doing it bigger and better than we did last year. More official details, I will give it out next week because I'll be able to share more about it. But please remark your calendars for August 12th. Also, visit the www.kaylinscaringconnection.com website to find out more ways you can find me and more about that event. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate your support so much and hope you enjoy these empowering conversations. Always know that I care about you. And if no one has told you today, know that I love you. Thank you for listening, and catch me on the next KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. Bye-bye.